My name's Harry, and as you can see from my profit and loss statement, last year my agency went from £18,000 in 1 month in January all the way to £87,000 cash collected in 1 month in June of 2024, right? A 6 month time frame, and I literally went from 18 to 87k. And this isn't because I've done anything special. I'm just going to explain to you in this video exactly what I've done and the one mistake that you need to avoid that's literally stopping you from getting results like this. Just before this period in January, the year before, I was stuck at around 10k a month as well. Every significant breakthrough I've had with my agency, and by the way, my agency helps other businesses effectively get more leads. Every breakthrough I've had has been down to this one thing, right? And it's stopping most of your companies growing. If you run an agency, a consulting, or even like a coaching business, this is probably the main reason why your company isn't growing, right? I've seen it time and time again, right? This is basically guaranteed to be the case if your company is under 1 to 3 mil a year. If your company is above that, I'm not qualified to speak on that because I don't own a company that's doing more than that, but I do believe it's a different issue as well altogether. This is really for the smaller businesses. I actually am qualified to speak about because I've grown mine to this level. So the thing is that you're lacking specificity, right? This is literally the problem with like 99% of agency owners, especially at the beginning. You try and do everything at once, and in doing so, you actually achieve nothing. You need to have specificity with every action, right? I'm going to break down 3 different types of specificity that you need to have to breed results in your agency. But the whole thing comes down to lacking specificity. I'm going to give you very specific examples and very specific action plans that you can take to create more specificity in your business. Now, I promise you this is genuinely the one reason why I grew, okay? As I was making those like £18,000, £10,000 months the year before, the one thing I didn't have was specificity. I was trying to go out to everyone and reach everyone. And in doing so, I limited myself significantly, right? So you need specificity in all aspects of your business. There's 3 different types of specificity that you need to have to hit that $1 million a year, right? So you need to have specific knowledge, you need to have a specific market, and you need to have specific messaging to actually go out to that specific market with your specific knowledge too, right? So specific knowledge is actually basically your uniqueness, right? It's basically, if you have specific knowledge, it's difficult to replicate. You need to make it your own. You could be really good at AI, you could be really good at lead gen, you could be really good at inbound marketing, like content creation, that sort of thing. It doesn't really matter what you're good at, you just need to have your own twist on it and make it unique to you, right? But it's basically having one specific service that you would sell. In business speak and in actual actions that you can take, what this would look like is just having one specific service, right? With your specific knowledge that you have. Obviously, you want to play to your strengths. I'm going to give you another framework in a bit of how to actually decide what service you want to sell and what market you want to go into. But effectively, you want to decide on one specific service to use. Then you want to enter one very specific market and just pick one. Okay, this can't be broad. This can't just be like B2B businesses because there's absolutely millions of those. You need to go quite specific with this, right? And then, of course, you need to have specific messaging as well. This will be messaging that truly resonates with the audience. It really makes sense to them. It gives them really what they want and prompts them to take action, okay? So some examples of this could be your specific knowledge could be building AI chatbots, right? And that could be your actual one specific service that you do. You might have expertise in this already. Obviously, I would recommend playing to something that you already have expertise in. Then, for example, your specific market could be US medical device sales. Very specific, very niche, right? And this will genuinely help you make more money if you niche down more aggressively. Okay, I'm going to explain to you how this works in a second with actual statistics and maths, but you'd want to get very specific. And then, of course, specific messaging. So like using that industry's lingo. So for example, US medical device sales, I don't know what lingo they would speak, so I'd speak to ChatGPT for a bit, get an understanding for the market, do some deep market research, and then use some of those keywords, some of those like desires and pains and all of these things that US medical device sale companies want, and use that in my messaging. Okay, so it all really centers around having a specific service and a specific market, then obviously creating specific messaging for that. I'm going to say the word specific a lot in this video because I need to drill it home that you need to be specific if you're trying to grow your business, right? To that $1 million a year mark. So, however, I understand this. But I still sometimes get tempted because I notice something with my service, and you'll probably notice this too if you do something similar to me or you run an agency or a consulting business. And it's that people would often ask me if I can help one type of business, like for example, recruitment agencies. Why don't I just take on all sorts of clients? Why don't I just take on like construction clients as well? Why don't I take on real estate clients? Why don't I take on all these other different types that I technically can help, and in theory it would give me a much bigger market to potentially make more money? So sometimes I get caught in this loop. It's like, oh, if I can help these people, I can also help these people. And people will ask me, why don't you help these people? Sometimes I question myself, but it comes down to the fact that complexity grows as you add in more markets. You need to be specific with one market and one audience because your complexity will grow. You need to understand more about those specific markets. Your margins would also reduce because you need to have different types of softwares for different types of markets. You need to hire different types of people as well to help produce the output in those markets. And errors would increase as well because of your lack of specificity. So in reality, what you're trying to do is you're trying to go out to everyone and target everyone. All you're doing is making it more complex for yourself, less profitable, and more likely to get unhappy clients through errors and stuff. That's really what's going on here. Whereas you could make your life one hell of a lot easier and make a hell of a lot more money if you just focus on one specific thing with one clientele base. And believe me, there is enough money in these markets to make a lot. There really is. So you shouldn't be thinking in this mindset, this scarcity mindset, that if you stick with one market, you're not going to make as much money. It is the complete opposite. But let me actually show you exactly how this actually works. So like, as you try and enter more markets, they're called business types in this graph. What will happen is your margins over time will reduce. The more business types you work with, the more your margins will reduce. And this is, of course, your profit margin, right? So the cash that's going into your pocket at the end of the day will reduce. The reason being, you're going to have more softwares, your expenses will be higher, your team costs will be higher, there'll be more complexity, more churn, all of these issues, right? So your margins will actually drop. What will also happen is complexity will increase and errors will exponentially increase. So your limit will effectively be much lower. If you're running with one business type, maybe you could take on 50 clients. If you're running with 4 business types, maybe you can only take on 10 because they're all so different. There's no commonality you can use. You don't get that economies of scale. If you have one really good framework that you know works really well for, say, real estate companies, right? And you have a really good script or you have a really good ad set that works well for them, you can't reuse that and repurpose that framework. You have to create the whole other framework again. And oftentimes the hardest bit is just creating it in the first place. So I cannot stress the importance of being specific, because the more company types you add in, the more industries, the more complexity will increase, the more margins will reduce, and you're not gonna make as much money. That is the matter of the fact. But the weird thing is you think you'll make more. It's not true. You need to silence that voice in your head because it's only gonna stop you from growing, right? Because for most businesses, the hardest thing right now is winning business, signing more clients, making more money, okay? And I can guarantee you that you would sign more clients if you had more specificity in each of these 3 different areas, right? But the most prominent for actually trying to sign clients and win business, which for majority is the issue, is messaging, right? So, as I obviously went from 18,000 to 87,000 pounds in a month, here I was trying to appeal to everyone. I had like a very specific, a very broad message that was like, hey, could you handle an extra 10 to 15 leads a month, right? Something like that. And I'd just send it to everyone, just blast it, cold email, 100 domains, boom, right? And the results are obviously showing for that. Yes, I made money. Yes, if you're just starting from zero, this will help you actually get somewhere. But it was far from optimized, had high churn, a lot of issues in the business. Whereas here, I literally was only running LinkedIn campaigns to one specific type of audience. I was sending maybe 400 to 500 messages a day, compared to here I was probably sending like 5,000, right? But it's because I was only appealing to one very specific audience. Of course, if I was sending like 1,000 a day here, the same volume, then I would have made more. But at the time it was growing nicely as it already was. But the main thing that helped me do that was specificity. The main thing that helped me do that was, of course, specificity, right? Only appealing to one very specific type of audience, one list, one service that I sold, and one type of messaging that I knew worked because I split tested it, right? So that was the biggest difference. Now, messaging, Okay. The only so so as you change your messaging and become more specific, it will help you make more money, no doubt. Now I'm going to try and address this reason why you think that appealing to more people is going to help you make more money, right? The only reason I'm convinced is because of fear. You don't actually truly think that appealing to more different types of business will help you win more business. You're just scared that the opposite effect might happen. You're scared that if you niche down to one specific type of industry, that you'll make less money and win less business, right? It really comes from fear. You're worried that if you niche down, you get less clients. However, as I've said many times in this video, the complete opposite is true. Specificity equals results, right? So you might be thinking, okay, I get this, I understand it. I work with a few different types of clients now. What should I do? Should I keep going as I am and just try continue to scale my ads or my outreach? Or how do I actually choose where to niche down? So I'm going to give you a framework. You should always niche down, but I'm going to give you a framework on how to do it, okay? And it really stems from, do you already have case studies? This is like the most important thing for niching down, because if you already have case studies, you have a proven concept and it will work for other similar businesses. If you do, then niche down with the best case study you have. If this is for a construction business, then niche down with construction businesses and use that case study to win more business. If you don't have a case study already, then niche down where your skill set matches best and do not switch until you get a case study. This might take 6 months, it might take a year, it might take 1 month, but do not switch until you actually get a case study, because as soon as you have that, you have proof of concept, you know it works, and you can start to use that to actually start to make more money, right? But it's all around case studies. This will help you decide where to niche down and to develop your specific knowledge, okay? So this is actually what it looks like. We've got positive feedback loops and negative feedback loops. If you get this right, you're going to start to make a lot of money. Obviously, I went from 18K to 87K in like 6 months doing this. However, before I was stuck like this, and this is where most people are. So I'm explaining to you exactly how it works. Now, this is because the use of the case study is so important, right? So I developed a really good case study with a particular client, and I would send this out to similar prospects, right? I'd build lists of similar types of audiences just using LinkedIn, right? Using the industry filter and some keywords. And I would literally just send this case study to similar types of clients. And guess what? This would, of course, attract similar businesses, people that resonated with the video. I could not count how many times people said they watched the video and said, it just really resonated with this guy. It sounded the same as me. I'm in the same position, same sort of business. And that's exactly what I wanted, of course, right? So I wanted to attract similar types of businesses, then get them on more calls and sign more clients, more similar clients. And then, of course, I get more results in this niche, which then gives me a case study, which I can then use to attract similar businesses. And it's a positive feedback loop, right? It just gets better and better and better as I get more case studies, I get more results, and I understand the niche better. This is what you want to have. And if you start having this, you will see that exponential effect with revenue in your business, right? Or what most people do is they end up thinking that a new niche is better, lead with non-specific messaging, just be super broad, eventually get less clients, and which of course means you get less results in that niche, and then of course you think that a new niche is better even more. So you develop even more non-specific messaging and you never learn the niche properly. And you get even less clients, right? It's a negative feedback loop. This is what you want to avoid. You want to go for the positive feedback loop, and that all starts from one good case study, using that to spiral things up, right? Obviously it gets more accelerated over time. The more case studies you have, the faster the loop will go, the more clients you'll get. And it's also the same for this. Like, the worse your performance is, the more you think a new niche is better, and it will affect you mentally, and you'll get even worse results. So just try not to fall in this trap. The only way you can't fall in this trap is if you don't switch niche, right? Because you'll just eventually get very specific messaging, you'll start to get some clients, you'll start to get some results, and then you'll eventually end up in the positive feedback loop, right? So the way to avoid this is just by not switching, right? But the truth is, you can work just as hard in both of these loops, but one will always win, and it's that green positive feedback loop. Many people worked harder than me when I first started scaling, and they probably still do, but I use my niche expertise to scale. I use the specific knowledge, I use the specific messaging with a specific market, and that allowed me to scale. So many people are just as knowledgeable, if not more, than me, probably work harder than me, right? But they don't make more money in that specific market with like done for you lead gen. because they don't understand this. And this is so important, right, for any business. But none of this is actually possible without first defining your messaging and your offer for a very specific niche. So if you are looking for one-to-one help with this, where with me directly, because I'm going to work with you literally one-to-one, I can actually guarantee 11 new high-ticket clients in just 90 days. Click the link in below. Click the link in the description below. We'll jump on a call. We'll see if it's a fit for you. If it is, cool. If not, no worries. And we can start to grow your business together. So hopefully this video has been useful. If you do like the sound of that, click the link in the description below. If not, no worries. I'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.